Okay, I wanted to go through a couple of examples with you of questions that you've done on the homework that are very similar to questions that you'll see on the quiz today. So what if you have a question where it says, write the equation of a line that's perpendicular to x equals 4 and contains the point 2, 5. So if you think about this, normally if you have an equation like y equals, 1/2 x plus 2, let's say, that's normally what you would see. Normally you would be given either the equation or you'd be given the slope at least, and you'd be given a point. And then you could use point slope form. Y minus the y of the point, the slope. In this case, it's perpendicular, so if the slope was 1/2, it would be -2, x minus the x of the point. But when you look at problems like these two, your equation doesn't have a slope. It doesn't have anything x. So how are you going to figure out what the equation of the perpendicular line would be? Basically, the equation that you're given is x equals something. That means that if you were to graph it, and I do want you to graph this in your graphing notebook, if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, x equals 4. No matter what y is, if y equals 1, x equals 4. If y equals 2, x equals 4. It doesn't matter what the y coordinate is, the x coordinate is always going to be 4. So your line looks like this. This is the graph of x equals 4. What is the slope? I mean, if you were going to use this equation, what would the slope be? Well, this is a straight vertical line. The slope is undefined. I mean, I could pick any 2 points on this line. I could pick 4, 0, and I could pick 4, 1. And if I were to calculate the slope of this line, if I picked any 2 points, guess what's going to happen? The x is always going to be 4. No matter what the y is, the x is always going to be 4. So when I do y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1, I'm always going to end up with 4 minus 4 on the bottom. So my slope is always going to be undefined. Whenever you have 0 on the denominator, it's undefined slope. Okay, well, that's all well and good, but how do you write the equation of a line that's perpendicular? Well, it has to go through this point. So if it has to go through 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if it has to go through here, 2, 5, and it has to be perpendicular to this line, what is the equation of that line? Well, the only line that it could be is this. It would have to be a horizontal line that goes through that point 2, 5. What is the equation of the line that is horizontal that goes through the point that it wants you to go through? Well, your equation is that y equals that y coordinate. Y equals 5. That way it's perpendicular. If I wanted the line that was parallel, instead of perpendicular, if this said, what's the line that's parallel to x equals 4, and also that goes through 2, 5, well, then I need a line that goes through here. This would be the parallel. It would go through, and the equation would be the x coordinate. The parallel line would be x equals 2. Because that's the only line that's going to be parallel that's going to go through this point. So if they want a parallel line, it's going to be y equal, if it's x equals 4 and they want the parallel line, it's going to be x equals the x coordinate. If it's a perpendicular line and it's at x equals something, then it's going to have to be y equals the y coordinate. Okay? I want you to pause the video. I want you to try this one. Write an equation of the line that's perpendicular, and I want you to write an equation of the line that's parallel. Write both. Okay, pause the video and try this one now. If you need to sketch it out, sketch it out. Okay, so these are the two equations. If you wanted to find the equation of the line that was perpendicular to y equals 9, then your equation is going to be the x value. Perpendicular, your equation is going to be x equals -1. And you can see this if you actually graph this. If you graph, let's say this is y, this is 9, you know, and so the line would be y equals 9. Let's imagine that's a straight line. That's y equals 9. So if I want a line that's perpendicular that goes through -1, 3, -1, let's say this is 1, 2, 3. -1, 1, 2, 3. So this point here, the equation of a line that's going to be perpendicular is going to be x equals -1. That's the only line that's going to go through that point and is going to be perpendicular to our line. On the other hand, that would be perpendicular. If you wanted a line that was parallel, and I did ask you to do both, the equation is going to be y equals 3. Because if this is our original line, y equals 9, and I want a line that's parallel that goes through this point, my equation is going to be y equals the y coordinate. So that line, the parallel line, would look like this. It would go through 3. So hopefully having these notes, y equals 3, will help you to see that if you need to write the equation of a line that is perpendicular to a graph, if it's perpendicular to an x, then you're going to find the y coordinate. If it's perpendicular to y equals something, then the equation is going to be the x coordinate. X equals the x coordinate. If they want you to write an equation of a line that is parallel to an x equals something, then parallel is going to be x equals the x coordinate of the point that they want you to go through. And if it's parallel to a y equals something, you have no slope, you have no something x, you just have y equals a number and parallel, and they give you a point, then it's going to be y equals whatever the y coordinate of that point is. Once you have finished these notes, you need to put your notebook away, and you will receive a copy of the linear equations quiz. When you're done with that, make sure your name's on it, place it in the tray, and you will complete the exponents pretest for our next unit on exponents. Thank you.